Welcome. This is another tactical technician video from Diag Nation. And this is a case study. It's a 2009 Chevy Aveo that was brought in a crank no start that we pushed into the shop. And right off the bat, I can hear, listening to the thing crank, the cadence, the cranking cadence was very, very inconsistent. As you can see by the, this is a relative compression of this car. I have another scope capture, which I'll talk about later, but nonetheless, let's analyze the relative compression. As you can see, it's on the blue channel on the scope, only one channel, that we're very inconsistent. It's not doing the same thing in the fire cycle. We see pretty much four normal ones here, then we drop, and we drop again here. So something's up with compression. Could be fuel washed down. We don't know at this time, but you can see obviously here that our relative compression is uneven. We have a tall one here, a middle one here, and a real short one here. There's definitely a difference in amperage, which would depict that the cylinder is not sealing consistently every time it cranks. So right off the bat, I took this capture. I did not go to the scan tool. I just instinctively, accessibility was good on this, just to get to the spark plugs. I pulled the ignition cassette off. And then the next capture, I went in cylinder because I was kind of curious about this because we could learn a lot from an in cylinder waveform. So here's the relative compression, and then you can see how inconsistent it is. And then I will go to the in cylinder capture for, I believe, cylinder one, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll kind of analyze that in some detail. That was shot on August the 16th, and here it is. It is cylinder one on the Chevy Aveo crank no start, and we're going to get a lot of information right off the bat from this scope capture. As you can see, it tells us a lot about the condition of this engine. It's coming up any second now. Okay, all right, here we go. It's in green. It's on the third channel. This is the transducer WPS500 in cylinder one, and I'll get some vertical zoom in here, and we can see obviously this doesn't look normal. We got an issue here. I'll start out talking about the cranking compression. The top of the tower is 80 psi, which is way too low. Way too low. We want to be somewhat way north of 100 to get, to make the combustion process work, but that's way too low right there. And let me kind of expand it and look at the fire cycle as far as degrees. But, and again, one thing I could say that I wouldn't say we have a cylinder leak. We got a good tower as far as the symmetry, the equidistant from the top of the tower, even. We just have low compression, and we're going to determine that this is most likely a valve timing issue because we can see that little pocket there. But anyway, let's look at a fire cycle. This is 720 degrees of crank rotation right here. And we'll set up our cursors. We can see this right here. Okay, so what I can determine from this is that the intake camshaft is late relative to the crankshaft. At least that's the problem. So I wouldn't say so much the exhaust camshaft, but the intake cam is running late, most likely due to the timing chain issue. So let's look at our angles. Let's look at the exhaust first. So we can determine that the exhaust valve opened, wait, my bad, that happens. Let's look at this again. Okay, so the exhaust valve opened about 35 degrees before bottom dead center, which is pretty good. We're pretty much in the norm for most cars. But the intakes is way late. You can see here the intake opening, which, I'll do this again. The intake usually opens about right here. That's a little bit before top dead center, right about there. But see, it's opening somewhat late. So you say it's gonna be opening in this area here when the intake valve opens and the piston is descending. So we're looking at about 46 degrees, which is very late. Now, as far as the intake valve closing, usually about 55 degrees after bottom dead center, which is right here at the 540. 540 is bottom dead center. This is top dead center. This is bottom dead center. Of course, this is top dead center. So right here at bottom dead center, we're looking about, okay, that's 85 degrees. That's way too, that's like 30 degrees late, which will explain why, you know, this engine's not running. But anyway, you can see that all other cylinders look about like this. I won't show you the cylinders 2, 3, and 4, but pretty much they're also very similar to this one. One other thing that I could point out, that when we have low compression, I want to give more vertical zoom to give this some. This pocket is too deep. Okay, that would imply we didn't reach a high, like a good 180, 190 psi at the top of the tower. We only reached 80, so the piston descended and it was able to get more vacuum, which is undesirable in we call this the expansion pocket here. And usually they're about right here, about, let's say -2 to -3. This one is -9, which is way too deep for a cranking capture. So that's also another red flag when we analyze in-cylinder waveforms, the expansion pocket being way too deep for a cranking capture. So nonetheless, this engine had a timing chain issue and had to be dealt with. So anyway, this is a tactical technician from Diag Nation. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.